It's another amazing day in paradise. Welcome and welcome back. It is day 3 of the Let's Talk series. It's also day 3 of me and Wisdom's birthday month. My name is Carolyn Sanders. Most people call me Kai. I am the CBB or Chief Bushel Blaster for an emerging company called L.U.V Enterprises. I lead a homeschool group called the Ubuntu Progressive Cooperative for African Centered Families, um, which is like I said, it's a homeschool group, excuse me. I am a humanitarian by nature, born on Human Rights Day, which I truly know is not an accident. But most importantly, I have the absolute honor and pleasure of being the mom of a dynamic, vibrant, intelligent, and very beautiful on the inside of and out young Black man named Wisdom, who will be 6 in 20 days. His birthday is less than 3 weeks away. Yesterday was exactly 3 weeks away. Today it is less. And my birthday is exactly 1 week away from today. I am so excited. And it's not just because it's December and it's my birthday month and it's the series, but I am just so excited by what God is putting in me. Just the awakening. Just Y'all don't know. I love my Big Daddy. Oh my gosh. I love my Heavenly Father. And if you're watching this and you're not religious, but you're spiritual or you don't consider yourself Christian and you're of another religion, thank you for being here. And I hope that you connect to whatever source is your power, even if it's yourself, and you love that. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about love, not just LOVE, because that's what I think most people think. But as I said, the business that is emerging is called L.U.V Enterprises. It's spelled L.U.V. And it's an acronym. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about what love means because it has 3 different definitions. The first being an acronym, and it means to learn your value. Now, of course, your doesn't start with a U, it starts with a Y, right? Okay. But today in phonetic spelling, your now starts with a U. And it just totally makes sense. And that's what's so important about. That's really where love starts. Love starts with knowing who you are. The LOVE aspect of love, it starts with knowing who you are. As a spiritual belief, or I should say, coming directly from the scriptures, it actually comes from the meaning of love comes from the the verse in John that says God is love. I'm gonna look it up really quick because uh, I didn't look it up beforehand. Sorry. So let me just look it up quickly. Okay, it's First John 4:8, and it says, "He that loveth, oh, he that loveth not, knoweth not God, for God is love." And that comes from First John 4:8. Oh my goodness, that's so good. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. And so it's love. Then that's also plays into the great commandment, right? Which is to love God, love ourselves, and love our neighbor as ourselves, right? And that's kind of where this last definition, which is how God gave me the personal definition for love. This is my personal definition for LOVE and LUV, L.U.V. as an expanded definition of learn your value. And the definition is the opportunity, blessing, and challenge, because it is sometimes, of seeing God or goddess in others, especially when they don't see them in themselves. Let me repeat that. The opportunity, blessing, and challenge of seeing God or goddess in others, especially when they don't see it in themselves. Honoring, reverencing, and nurturing that God or goddess within until it is manifest without. It is a 2-part definition. And the first means that we have to see people as God sees them. And the second part is to help them to see it and to nurture that until it is expressed in its highest form and then given as a gift to the world. So, for those who are not religious, this definition actually comes from two places. It comes from the definition, in part, it comes from two places outside just spiritual revelation that God gave to me. But it comes from the Great Commandment, as I mentioned. But it also comes from a quote by Marianne Williamson, which was often attributed to Nelson Mandela, that talks about how our greatest fear is not light, but our greatest. Hold on, let me look it up because I'm going to mess it up because it's not coming to mind right now. But it's such a often quoted. Yeah, there it is. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. I laugh because I feel like this is exactly what I'm dealing with now. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. That's personally. But then, as our responsibility of loving others, what do we have to do? We have to help them to manifest it as well. When we got it, then we do it to others. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. That just became so personal in a way that I just wasn't expecting. I just really wasn't expecting that because I want to talk about this. I want to talk about it from a level um, that is not religious. And I'm going to talk about this from the aspect of parenting, right? Because when a baby comes into the world, what do we do? Of course, we celebrate its birth. We're like, oh my gosh, look at this little being. At least the vast majority of us, that's the case, right? We celebrate its birth and we're so excited that it's there. And we welcome it into our homes, into our hearts, into our lives. And we take this child and we feed it and we nurture it and we play with it and we smile. It's challenging though, right? Because that baby needs a lot of attention. It deserves it wants to sleep for long hours, but when it's up, right? And we have other things to do, right? Life does not can't just revolve around this little being, though it should, right? Because that being is completely reliant on who we are. Even before the baby gets here, right? We're sitting there, everybody wants to touch your belly, and you're just like, holy cow, personal space. Like, mind your business. You don't come up to a fat person and just pat their belly, right? So don't do it to a woman who's pregnant. But everybody, the vast majority of people, I will say, love this concept of a child and this new life that's coming into the world. Even though some people think the world is scary and oh my gosh, this child is such a challenging time, there's still something miraculous about a life and about a woman who's carrying a life, or I'm going to say it, a woman who is carrying a life, because that is what it is. And so I am, I am just marveling because I'm thinking about when Wisdom was born and he was so small. He was he was so small and long. He barely hit 5 pounds. He was like 4 pounds 9 ounces. He barely fit 5 pounds, but he was so long and he was white. And it was funny because I'm one of six children of my mom's children, and all of my siblings were in relationships with people from other cultures, and so all their children are mixed, and they look Italian or just straight white. Was kind of a hint of their ethnicity, their mixed ethnicity. But and so when Wisdom came out and he was white and he had two brown parents, it was kind of interesting. But that's what happens a lot of times. And so, and then their color develops as their melanin comes in. And so it was just so amazing. He was just so small. And me being big, I'm not small. And having gained weight when I was even more weight when I was pregnant, he was just this little being. And I just wanted to protect him and love him. And I remember like have a picture of, his toes and putting my finger next to his foot and how it was just the size of my finger. And it was so miraculous. And to this day, seeing him every day still brings me that joy. And I hope that never, ever, ever changes. That when I see him, I always welcome him with open arms. It was so important for me to get the little clothes that he had, and he had a T-shirt that says, "No one understands how hard it is." It was a onesie, excuse me. It said, "No one understands how hard it is to be this handsome." I love putting that T-shirt on, that onesie. And to this day, I think that people don't understand. But we clothe them in all these outfits and these clothes, and we just have fun, right? But then as people get older, and even children as they get older, we have this perception that somehow they're not that child anymore. But I imagine that God, to the very day that we leave this presence, that we transition this presence, our presence from here until the eternities, that God still feels that way about each one of us. That his heart breaks in the moments that we do things that don't serve us well, but that every day that he allows us to live, that he is excited that we are here. But we stop looking at each other like that. We don't even look at our children like that a lot of days. A lot of days our children are, they're irritants. They are doing too much, And so I want to share this. This is from an article. It was from a website called Grown and Flown. And this was an article that was written. Um, it was written uh, and it was written a year ago, actually, almost a year ago. It was posted on November 30th of 2020, and it's by this lady named Helene Wingins. It says, I'm just going to give a little background on her. It says, Helene Wingins has always been passionate about painting pictures with words. She graduated from Brandeis University with a degree in psychology, and 3 years later from Boston University School of Law with a Juris Doctor. In a year-long clerkship for an appellate judge, Helene honed her writing skills by drafting weekly appellate memoranda. She practiced law until she practically perfected it, and after taking a brief 20-year hiatus to raise her three children, she began writing a personal blog. Her essays have been published in Scary Mommy, Culver, The Forward, and Grown and Flown, where she is managing editor, not managing Edward. So this article that she wrote is so powerful, and I had saved it in my Facebook. It was something that I had saved as one of the Facebook posts, and it says, "Dear Mom and Dad, please stick with me." And Grown and Full is particularly for parents of teens and tweens. Excuse me, there's something. I feel like something's in my eye. And so she's writing this from the perspective of a teenager. It says, "Dear Mom and Dad, please stick with me. I can't think clearly right now because there is a rather substantial section of my prefrontal cortex missing. It's a fairly important chunk. Something having to do with rational thought. You see, it won't be developed until I'm about 25, and from where I sit, 25 seems a long way off. So basically, they're saying my brain is not yet fully developed. It doesn't matter that I'm smart. Even a perfect score on my math SAT doesn't insulate me from the normal developmental stages that we all go through. Judgment and intelligence are two completely distinct things. And the same thing that makes my brain wonderfully flexible, creative, and sponge like also makes me impulsive. Not necessarily reckless or negligent, but more impulsive than I will be later in life. Please stick with me. So when you look at me like I have 10 heads after I've done something quote unquote stupid or failed to do something quote unquote smart, you're not really helping. You adults respond to situations with your prefrontal cortex, which is rationally, but I am more inclined to respond with my amygdala, I think it's amygdala, which is emotionally. And when you ask, what were you thinking? The answer is, I wasn't. At least not in the way you are. You can blame me or you can blame Mother Nature, but either way, it is what it is. At this point in my life, I get that you love me, but my friends are everything. Please understand that. Right now, I choose my friends, but don't be fooled. I am watching you carefully. Please stick with me. Here's what you can do for me in the meantime, until we get to that 25-year prefrontal cortex full development. One, model adulting. I see all the behaviors that you are modeling and I hear all the words you say. I may not listen, but I do hear you. I seem impervious to your advice, like I'm wearing a Kevlar vest, but your actions and words are penetrating. I promise. If you keep showing me the way, I will follow, even if I detour many, many times before we reach our destination. Two, let me figure things out for myself. If you allow me to experience the consequences of my own actions, I will learn from them. Please give me a little bit of leash and let me know that I can figure things out for myself. The more I do, the more confidence and resilience I developed. Three, tell me about you. I want you to tell me all the stories of the crazy things you did as a teen and what you learned from them. Then give me the space to do the same. Four, help me with perspective. Keep reminding me of the big picture. I will roll my eyes at you and make all kinds of grunt like sounds. I will let you know in no uncertain terms that you can't possibly understand any of what I'm going through. But I'm listening. I really am. It's hard for me to see anything beyond the weeds that I am currently mired in. Help me scan out and focus on the long view. Remind me that this moment will pass. Five, keep me safe. Please remind me that drugs and driving don't mix. Keep telling me that you probably should be drinking and driving don't mix. Keep telling me that you will bail me out of any dangerous situation. No anger, no lectures, no questions asked. But also let me know over and over and over that you are there to listen when I need you. Six, be kind. I will learn kindness from you. And if you are relentless in your kindness to me, someday I will imitate that behavior. Don't ever mock me, please, and don't be cruel. Humor me. I think I know everything. You probably did as well at my age. Let it go. Seven, show interest in the things I enjoy. So I kind of roll my eyes at this one. Y'all don't know how much I've learned about cars with wisdom. Paw Patrol, Fireman Sam, let me tell you. Some days I will choose to share my interests with you, and it will make me feel good if you validate those interests by at least acting interested. One day, when the haze of adolescence lifts, you will find a confident, strong, competent, kind adult where a surly teenager once stood. In the meantime, buckle in for the ride. Please stick with me. Love, your teenager. I think that is such a amazing. Um, I think that's amazing. Period. It gives us something to think about how we view our children, especially when we don't understand them and we don't understand the process of what they're going through. But that's where love comes in, right? And that's what this teenager kept saying, right? Love me like you love, like, remember what you went through and what you did and stuff like that, so you can love me like that and help me get through this. Now, something that we have to realize is that there's a lot of people who live in this world that don't have that. They don't have that. And so they are not getting what they need. And so a lot of time, every time you come in contact with somebody, you are coming in contact with a person. You're coming in contact with the child that they were, with all the elements of their childhood. So at the end of that, where it says, I'll become a competent, kind individual, that's because when they were younger, that's what they saw and that's what they modeled and that's what they became a part of. And again, keep in mind, he said, the teenager said, my friends are everything, because that's who they're around. And that's why I think it's important for parents to be their children's superheroes. I think it's important for us to be mindful of the community that our children are in, because that's who they develop from. And if the combination works, you do have that amazing adult who comes into the world and is able to change it, and or play their part in making it magnificent. And when you have that which is out of sync, then you have the chaos that we're now experiencing in the world. And so love, L.U.V, is essential to making the changes that are needed in this world. And I have to say a huge thank you to Mastermind Stan Anderson and the Motivation Readers Mastermind Network, because I don't know if I would have gotten this far in this journey if it wasn't for them. I've been learning so many things just in the last 2 years as me and Wisdom have been through our journey in the perils of poverty. But it was earlier this year when we were reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I was able to meet with this absolutely fabulous group of individuals who have just a powerful mindset for good. And I was able to express myself and even lose my mind a couple of times by what I was reading, because that book just validated what I was saying and the things, and about shifting paradigms and how things have to change. Because one of the things that I realized is that a lot of people don't realize that a lot of people who are religious, who go to church every Sunday, who lead churches, they don't believe in this concept of love. They do the very same things that everybody else does. They don't believe in the Great Commandments. Homelessness should not exist if Christianity were true. Because in the Bible it says, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. So if you're in a home, then your greatest intention is to put somebody in a home. That should be everybody who is Christian. Whatever you have, you want other people to have because you enjoy it so much. So why is it that we don't do that? Well, because our paradigms stop us from doing this. Because when a child comes into the world, they have infinite worth, they're beautiful, they're perfect, they're amazing. And then as they grow up and we don't understand their development, then we do the best we can by not learning about how they're going to develop. We don't care. We just know we had this child and now they're here and we figure out what we're going to do. And we do what was done to us, most likely, in so many different circumstances, right? And too many instances, still, we have people who are continuing the generational trauma because they're just doing what has been done to them, right? That was their expression of love. And so we take them, and as they get older and they do things that we don't like that teenager was talking about, then their value is diminished. And so by the time they get older and they get into the working world and they're only making minimum wage because they don't have the education, then we say, okay, well, if you can't afford a real home, then we have to put you in affordable housing. we have to put you in what you can afford, because this is not based, the house that you live in is based on your net worth, not your self-worth or your infinite worth. And so this has been on my mind because this conversation about affordable housing everywhere is just, it has gotten me to the point where I'm like, wow, God just put it on my heart, like, we, everything in this world, after you leave pretty much like infancy, where you're no longer like this cool child, you're this cool little entity who's growing and learning, but you become this irritant, that everything after that is based on your net worth, right? We want to, we want to see our children leave the nest at 18 and go off on their own and do this and do that and, conquer the world, instead of just keeping them safe and saying, it's okay if you want to be here. I want you to live your life. I want you to enjoy this. There are people who do that. There are generations. And I was reading about China, where it's generational. Like the housing crisis there would displace generations, 3 to 4 generations, instead of just one in one household, or two, I guess, the parents and the child, parents and their children. And so the thought that has been permeating my mind is, well, how come we can't just put people in homes and based on their infinite worth? If someone has a dream of a house, how come we can't help them get a house, the house that they dream of, and then help them to live up to being able to pay for it? Oh, but that would cause us to, have paradigm. We have to break our paradigms. That's not how things go. We don't have money for that. Yes, there is. There are over there are over I can't remember. I just saw an article about the top 50 women billionaires, the billionaires or something like that. So if they're only like 12% of billionaires. So I'm not really good at math this early in the morning. And so I'm just contemplating, well, there's a lot of billionaires if 12%, only 12% of them, if 50 or 30 or whatever the number is women. That means there's 300 to 500 billionaires in the world, possibly just in the United States. That's a lot of houses to buy. It's not impossible. But because we want to look at people for their net worth and not for their infinite worth, it isn't possible. But I want to close by saying this. I have a very special thank you to extend to Mastermind Rashida, who came out of our Motivational Readers Mastermind Network. Because Mastermind Rashida would always say, keep talking. And she said it so much that one day Wisdom and I were talking, and he was like, that's why you keep talking, Mommy, because Mastermind Rashida said, keep talking. And so I keep talking, because as long as I keep talking, change is going to come. But I want to talk a little bit about my own journey really quickly. And excuse me again if I get emotional. But I saw this on Facebook, and so thank you to Brody for posting this. It says, your calling is going to crush you. If you're called to mend the brokenhearted, you're going to wrestle with brokenheartedness. If you're called to prophesy, you're going to struggle to control your mouth. If you're called to lay hands, you will battle with spiritual viruses. If you are called to preach and to teach the gospel, you will be sifted for the wisdom that anoints your message. If you are called to empower, your self-esteem will be attacked. Your successes will be hard fought. Your calling will come with cups, thorns, and sifting that are necessary for your mantle to be authentic, humble, and powerful. Your crushing won't be easy because your assignment is not easy. Your oil is not cheap. And when I saw this, of course, the image that came into my mind was of the anointing oil that the woman had in the alabaster box. And there's a song that Helene Wingins sings that's called Alabaster Box, of her perspective of what that was like for that woman. And in that song, the chorus is, you don't know the cost of the oil in my alabaster box, but I do. And so I keep talking. Because one day, this oil that I'm presenting will be of such value that no one can put a price on it. But I know that for myself. And because I know that for myself, it's that much more important that I infuse that into my son so he knows that for himself. And then next step is to do that so that other people can know that about themselves. And that the situations that they are in are only temporary because change is coming and I'm going to bring it and my son is going to bring it. We were created to change the world. God told me that years ago. He told me exactly what I would do and I didn't know how to do it. But it's coming. And I know that I am instrumental in bringing it. And I do not apologize for that. I can't. I work for the greatest employer in the world. And so I don't say this with arrogance. I say it because I'm inviting you to pour your oil with mine and let's change this world and make it where we deserve to live. Let's help get rid of the illnesses and the sicknesses and the people who are not parented well. Let's help adults reparent themselves and then manage that parenting through self-parenting. Parenting is the problem and the solution. And all of this comes right back down to L-O-V-E, love. More importantly, it goes back to L.U.V, love. Because I know that for some people, L-O-V-E, it's a little hazy. We use that word a lot in so many different circumstances. We can love our cars, we can love our pets, we can love plants, we can love dishes, we can love this and that and the other thing, right? So, with L.U.V, there's no question about what love means. It loves me, it's about me loving me and seeing the goddess in me, and then me loving you and seeing the God and goddess in you. And then helping you manifest it, putting the community around you that you need to manifest it, investing the money that needs to be invested so that you can manifest it. And then guess what? When you achieve what it is you're looking to achieve, you're going to give back and you're going to pay it forward at the same time. Because your infinite worth, while your infinite worth and your net worth will never be equal, they will be synonymous enough. They will be, what's the word? It's not equal, but equality. Something along that lines. Please, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I know a little something, right? No, equity. Equity, that's the word. The equal and equality are the same thing. See? It's about equity. And so there is going to be some equity in what you're able to present to the world because your infinite worth will produce the net worth you need to live and exist, to pay it back and pay it forward. And so with that, I'm going to end because I really wanted to keep this short, but this was on my spirit and there's so much I didn't say, but it will come later and the other things that I have to discuss. And so I'm going to end it for now and just say, when I say that I love you, now understand that when I say I love you, it's because I know there is a God or goddess in you. And I know you were designed to manifest it in the world, to the world. And whatever I can do to help that come to pass is my endeavor to do. I know the foundation of doing that is parenting. Whether it's to help you be a better parent, whether it's to help you to reparent yourself so that you can be a better person. You don't have to be reparented. You don't have to, what's the word? You don't have to be a parent to be reparented. I believe that all of us in some way, shape, or form need to be reparented because our parents couldn't get it right. All of our parents did the very best they could. And so for everybody out there who's successful, that's awesome. Whatever idiosyncrasy you're struggling with, you either got it from your parents or from the community that you came up in, your friends. And so again, that's another factor of being reparented. right? But we're just doing it for ourselves with the consciousness that we have and that has been created. And so with that, I said a minute and a half ago that it was going to end. Now it's true. Again, I love you. I see the God and Goddess in you. And I just invite you to join me so we can help others see the God and Goddess in them. And we will create this amazing world full of amazing people who just need to be loved. And then who will get what they need and pass it on. So I say, enjoy creating your amazing day. Peace.